Greetings, grinders. This is Sean Hugas, aka Duckie Succumbs. It's another episode of One on One with Duckie. I'm recording from my palatial estate in Los Angeles, California, as always. And today we have a special guest on the show. She works for FanDuel. She writes a lot of articles for FanDuel, much more than I'm completely lazy compared to her. I've noticed just in terms of volume. She makes me look bad, actually, but I'll get over it. But she's a writer for FanDuel. She's done some work for Fox and other outlets. Welcome to the show, Jessica Kleinschmidt.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm glad I'm making you look bad.
Oh no, trust me. I think a lot of the people that do these things make me look bad. But I'm okay with it. Luckily, I have good self-esteem, so it's all right.
Perfect. I feel like if you have a good self-esteem, you can do anything. I'm a firm believer in that.
It's true, yeah. You really can. So it's speaking of which, let's just go right into it first. How did you get in at FanDuel? What was the method? Where did you start from? Where got you to here right now?
Well, what got me to specifically FanDuel was, the backstory is I've always wanted to be a sports writer. I love sports. I love writing, and I think I'm a great writer. And I've noticed I kind of bring a different voice to it. And basically, Will Carroll, my amazing boss, discovered me. I've had him on many of my podcasts, many articles I've sought his information and helped through. And he called me one day and said, "Hey, we really need somebody with your writing ability to come work for FanDuel." And I said, "Well, I don't think that's what I'm meant to be." And it was actually a content site that we were launching, which is FanDuel Insider, which is what I've been writing for over a year. And it's just kind of, been rock and roll history ever since. I started in June, and I just had my 1-year anniversary, and it's probably the best relationship I've ever had. So it's been great. So that's what I've been doing. Baseball's kind of my jig. So that's what I've been doing a lot of, and just trying to find anything to write about. But it's been absolutely amazing over the last year. It's been unreal.
Yeah, well, Will comes from Baseball Prospectus and things like that. Were you reading a lot of the stat-based sites before you joined up on FanDuel, or were you more interested in the players or the game itself? What would you say your main focus was?
Well, at the beginning, I was always on Roto World, and the place that got my first writing gig. Of course, I wasn't getting paid anything. They said we like to use Roto World a lot, and so I've just been kind of obsessed with Roto World. But then I noticed as I continued to get into the industry, I was becoming friends with a lot of the wives and the girlfriends of these athletes, and I really became interested in their story. And ever since then, I've noticed I brought kind of a charisma to the industry, and a lot of guys are more willing to open up to me, knowing that I know their wives and their girlfriends and so on and so forth. So I kind of like to do a little bit of everything, but I've noticed towards the part of my career where I'd rather tell somebody's story than give you their numbers. And obviously you sometimes have to smush their triple slash line in there every now and then just to kind of get the geeks happy. But at the same time, I love being able to tell somebody's story. And, Clint Barmas walked up to me and told me the story about how he decided to retire from Major League Baseball and during a minor league game. And it's just warmed my heart. These people are actually willing to open up to me. So right now, beginning, it was mainly about the numbers, but I really love being able to paint a humanistic picture for somebody with an athlete.
Well, then you're in the right place, because I rarely do the numbers on this show. So
right, perfect.
Yeah, so you came into the right spot. Definitely. Speaking of stories, was it your first time at the Playboy Mansion this past week, or was it? Have you been there before?
I'm obviously a former Playboy model, so I've been there.
So am I.
Right, so you totally get it. I knew you looked familiar.
I was in the fashion section a couple times. They used me for that. Yeah.
No, it was my first time at the Playboy Mansion, and I got to be honest, as excited I was for the Playboy Mansion, I was really excited to see all the guys and girls that I've been interacting with over social media for the last few years, and just be able to hug them and shake their hands and say "Hey, you're a real person," and all of that stuff, and have a couple cocktails and all of that. So it was definitely an unreal experience. There were a couple times where I felt a little out of place. I felt like I had too many clothes on. I felt like I had, not enough alcohol in my system, but everybody was amazing. FanDuel just treats their clients phenomenally. All of their accounts were happy. Everybody had a great time from what I saw. And it was just an unreal experience. And just to get to watch every aspect of it, the party aspect, the competition aspect, the social networking aspect, it was all just amazing.
Yeah, I've been to it about maybe 3 times. I think I've been for the events at the previous place that held the events, the previous site that held the events, and FanDuel. And it is an odd situation because it's changed. I guess I hate to use the word nerd, but
I use
it's
geek.
changed.
We're fine.
Geek's fine, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's changed over the years that now it's become so accepted, I guess, in culture now, that originally I would have said if they did this 20 years ago and you put a bunch of nerds or geeks at the Playboy Mansion, it would be an incredibly awkward experience. But now it seems to be kind of de rigueur, I guess, if or whatever. It's just like it's okay. That how do you feel like the people that are there at the event? How do they handle the surroundings? The competitors specifically.
I feel like the competitors are pretty used to it. You see like a lot of the guys in like Tommy G's like been there multiple times, Jeff Mann,
Sure.
Schuster, all of those guys, and they're used to it, and I kind of walked in acting like it wasn't a big deal. But inside, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. Everybody kind of in the back of their head has the Playboy Mansion on their bucket list. You know what I'm saying? And
sure.
And that was kind of it. But I've noticed it's more about the competition with them. And you couldn't be because you had meet and greet on Friday night, and it was fun, but it was a totally different attitude that everybody had on Saturday. Saturday it was like, okay, well, we kind of mean business and all of that, but it's definitely more accepted. It's a wonderful culture. I think it's cool that they can just embrace the fact that you get a little giddy over knowing or having a great feeling or doing your homework over what these guys are about to do, and all of that. So it's kind of cool that they can all kind of embrace it. So I loved seeing that and actually being able to witness that firsthand, as opposed to just seeing their usernames on the FanDuel site or their Twitter handles asking me questions about lineups and stuff like that. So it was just cool to like put faces to bodies, and so it was a lot to take in, but I really enjoyed it.
And you did you get over through the whole place? Did you get to go to the game room? Did you go to the wildlife reserve, or were you pretty much set up in the main area for the whole day?
I did it all. I went to the game room. I saw I fed a toucan, which is awesome.
Yeah, I did that too.
Yeah. So I got to see the monkeys and the flamingos, and just they had amazing food, and they had beer pong, of course, and they had I got to see what the grotto looked like, and you could make printed shirts there. You just picked out what shirt you wanted, and you got to make your own shirts and all of that. And obviously the cocktails were flowing, everything was good. So I got to see as much as I was willing to, or got a shot to see, and got my little picture in front of, like, on the hill in front of the mansion, or whatever part of the mansion that was. So I got to cover it all, and then they sold the mansion like 2 days later. So I got
that's true. I mean, actually, I think it was that night. I think they sold it. It happened like hours after it happened. But I assume I'd never seen Hugh there, so I assume no appearance of Mr. Hefner anywhere in the surroundings either.
I did not see him, no. It was pretty loud and obnoxious, and so I bet you he was probably, over. But, they had, like, the models that came in, but they also had the actual playmates themselves, and they're absolutely gorgeous, just drop dead gorgeous women, and cool, and they took their picture with everyone, and it was awesome.
A big part of your career is involved in social media.
Mm-hmm.
And how are your interactions going right now at this point in your career in terms of social media? I mean, is it mostly positive? Is there some negative aspects to it? What is the general tone right now of people?
I would say it went from awful to bad to now it's pretty good. I think there was the one scenario that I'll never forget, and I was with FanDuel for a couple months, and I covered my first college football game, and it was a freelance position for scout.com. And it seemed like the moment I landed it, I was getting awful feedback saying like I was just an awful person. And I feel like I've told the story a couple times. Like I turned down a guy for a date, and he actually emailed the CEO of FanDuel saying I was an awful writer. And and another girl said that she wished death upon my dog, and that I was ugly and fat and stupid. And I was surprised about how well I took it, because I remember talking to Will Carroll about it and just saying like, wow, this sucks. And he's like, well, get a thick skin, girl. Like, that's what you got to do. And and it's unfortunately, like, I could either cry about it, upset about it, complain about it, or I could just be like, you know what, screw you. I'm going to prove myself. And I don't want to prove myself to other people. I've always wanted to do it for myself, but I've noticed it's, you know, every time I kind of do something, like people will reach out and ask me if I can get them like an autograph. Like that just happened today. Like people I haven't talked to in 10 years. I'm from Reno. So people were coming out and saying like, hey, can you get me an autograph for Tim Lincecum? Because he was here rehabbing for the Bees. And I said, well, okay, how is your life going? And, you know, stuff like that. And I don't really care about that stuff. And, you know, you definitely find out at a certain point in your life and career who your real friends are, who really cares about you and all of that, and who doesn't understand you. But you also realize like you got to ignore a lot of the negative social media, because there's so much out there. And actually women I feel are worse towards me because they're more sneaky about it. They won't mention me. They'll just talk crap about me, and I don't find out until if somebody tells me, and that's kind of whatever. But it's actually calmed down quite a bit in the last, I'd probably say 6 months. It's like night and day. It used to be awful. I used to want to never be on social media, and now it's like it's a lot more positive feedback. I'm thinking people are taking me seriously now that I've, you know, broken out some stories and proved myself as a good writer, a good person, you know. And a lot of people are just weary of a girl in social media, and I totally understand where they're coming from, because a lot of girls are out there just trying to sell their bodies or whatever they're doing. I get that, but we're not all like that. You know, I know what I look like. I know what people are saying about me, but I also just don't care what they're saying about me.
Well, I mean, I had somebody today compare me to a very large person. I'll just leave it. Yeah, an overweight person today, and it hit me. I have to admit.
Sometimes it just depends on your mood. Sometimes you're like, I don't care, but then like 2 days later, you're like, wow, well that person was really mean to me. And I hate people are saying like, well, it's just social media. It's like, yeah, but if you react to it, it just means you're human. I wish people would just embrace it. Like, it's okay. It's okay to be upset the fact that person said you were ugly or stupid. Like, that's totally fine.
Yeah.
You know?
No, it's true. I mean, I'm pretty thick-skinned on the whole thing for the most part, but I don't have enough people giving me grief anyway. So it's, you know, it's good being having less than, we'll say 10,000, 20,000 people. Having a nice, small, loyal fan base seems to have worked, so I can't complain about it too much. But
yeah, I get it. I think, you know, I'm always striving for more followers, but the more followers I get, the more open and vulnerable I am to the trolls. But it is what it is.
Yeah. I have a couple friends in sports that as their followers went up, the complaints they had went up along with it, and it's a natural process in the whole thing. You said you just come at his rehab. How is he doing, I guess, philosophically and things like that? How is he doing so right now, preparing for his time to come up to the Angels?
I mean, overall, he's in great spirits, which is awesome. Like, I've always heard he was a nice guy. He's always laid back, but to actually physically see that in person, it was, you know, really made probably one of my career highlights, because, you know, I actually hated the Giants for my whole life because I'm an Ace fan. But he was.
Oh, you're the one. Okay, I was just checking.
Yes, I'm that girl. I'm like, I roll my eyes when somebody says, well, it's an even year. I know what freaking year it is, guys. Like, stop.
I know they think this has happened for 40 years, that they won every other year. It's like, it's a small sample size. Relax.
And the thing is, if you talk to you can tell who the real Giants fans are. They're just like, they roll your eyes and walk away. That's the ones that get stupid defensive. they became a Giants fan in 2010.
Right.
So, you know, it's kind of one of those scenarios. But yeah, so he's doing good. I know because he has hip surgery recently, and his velocity's actually gone up since his hip surgery. I didn't have a chance to ask him about his slider specifically because his slider was struggling in 2015.
Right.
But it didn't look like he was in any sort of pain at all, anything like that. He was very open to the reporters. He's excited to come back. And obviously here in Reno, it's a huge Giants fan base because they're one of the closer teams to
Sure.
us. And of course, if you're going to choose between an A's team who I was probably barely walking the last time they won a World Series, or one in more recent times that all of a sudden you're a huge Buster Posey fan, you're probably going to go towards the Giants. I totally understand. So, but he was great. He was awesome. He like thanked the fans and thanked the media, us, for, you know, talking to him and all of that. But he looks good, and he's got a great, you know, attitude. And I did confirm he actually is not going to be up with the Angels as soon as most people thought. A lot of people were anticipating him to be returning on Sunday with the actual Angels themselves, the big league club. But he did say he wants to give it one more outing and see how he feels. So it is going to be pushed back a little bit. And obviously it totally changes if he tomorrow wakes up and feels amazing. Maybe he'll talk to his peeps about it and see what.
Yeah, I mean, if he throws 7 shutout innings and it's spitting fire tonight, you never know what might happen after that. Angels need all the help they can get. So
absolutely, but and I've noticed there was a pattern with him, and with today it was, you know, started off kind of slow. Like I'm not going to say he wasn't hitting his spots, but there was just something off about him, and then he kind of got teed off a little bit, and the Aces ended up winning like 11-2, I believe, today.
Oh, okay.
Prior to today, he was playing in Tacoma, Washington, which is near where he's from. And it was a similar scenario with both games where he started off slow, kind of giving up a lot of hits. But then the next thing you know, he was like he retired the last 10 of 11 batters. And then this game, there was one point he retired 14 out of 15 batters. So it really depends on that. Like Stella still's got her groove back, if you know what I mean. Like he still can throw, and he wasn't really cracking the 91-mile-an-hour fastball as much as we're used to. And he even said, you know, I'm not 23 anymore. I'm not going to just throw 94, 95 like it's nothing. So, and that's understandable. I couldn't do it if I probably did steroids, to be honest. So I don't know how these guys do it, but he was in great spirits. One of my favorite interviews I've probably ever done, because he was so sweet and so nice and totally willing to talk to everyone, signed every single autograph that was asked of him, took billions of selfies, including the local reporters. I saw you guys asking to take selfies with Tim Lincecum. I seen it. So he's a great guy, and I'm really excited. I'm a huge fan of him now after today. So.
I mean, in the smaller towns, I mean, not that Reno's that small of a town, but compared to Oakland or Los Angeles or something like that, I mean, does the media still seem to get starstruck in these situations? Or
absolutely. And I'm not trying to sound like I'm bigger than all these people, but I was blessed. I didn't really start local and move my way up. I kind of started out in like covering all these big names, and now like I'm kind of, you know, branching out locally. But absolutely, it is a pretty small town, and if you grew up here, you know it. It's called the biggest little city in the world for a reason. There's a lot of people, but everybody's connected somehow. Like everybody you meet knows somebody that you dated, or somebody that you went to high school with, or somebody that you don't ever want to talk to again. It's just how it is here. So when somebody like Tim Lincecum comes, and it was during the day, and it was a sellout crowd. So a lot of people, you know, played hooky, and I, you know, may or may not have been the type of person to encourage it, but whatever, you know, and it was cool. I really liked it. I'm glad the Aces could have a sellout crowd like that. I'm such a geek with baseball that I don't understand why people don't come out to these games, you know, and they get to see superstars like that. I mean, Tim Lincecum isn't like, he's maybe one of the biggest names to come out to Reno, but he's not, you know, the only big name to come out to Reno. And I wish people would embrace that. Go to your local minor league games and pay $5 to sit in the outfield and drink a beer. I just wish people would embrace that a little bit more. And
there are future stars coming up in these situations, and usually the players are more giving to the fans in those smaller arenas than they are in the larger stages. So yes, I agree with you completely. I've been down to Rancho Cucamonga once or twice for the All-Star games down there.
Yeah.
And it's amazing some of the players that were playing in those games. I mean, it was a long time ago, but there was at least 7 or 8. I think Frank Corr and Jose Cruz Jr. and I, I want to say Chipper might have been involved in one of them.
Oh, wow. That's about the right age. Yeah.
But
yeah,
I'm
I
not.
can see that.
Yeah, so there was a few other guys, but yeah, it's if you live in one of those areas, it's like go check it out. There's a few players you're probably going to see in the major leagues pretty soon. So
Oh yeah, Al Albuquerque was throwing for the Bees today. Eric Kratz just got released from the Houston Astros. He caught Tim Lincecum today, and I love Eric Kratz because he was the only dude to actually stick up for Ken Giles on the Houston Astros. Love that guy to death. And little things like that, rehab assignments. Oh gosh, what a deal. You know, if Archie Bradley, you get to watch him if you're from here, and you just never know the fun little things you get to see, you know, and when you go to a minor league game.
I was trying to trade for Archie Bradley in my fantasy league. I can't. The guy won't give him up now. I was too late. I tried a couple weeks ago. Before he got really hot, but it happens. Since you do have an Oakland and Nevada connection, and I didn't say Nevada, so I just want to clarify.
Thank you very much for that. And I hope everybody listening doesn't start doing that. Because you will get kicked out of Nevada. They will, before you even have a chance to correct yourself.
Yeah, I think I learned that from watching Veep. I think they were big on that. But there's a chance that a professional team may be coming to Nevada. Mm-hmm. Right now it's the Raiders. There's been talk about hockey there also. I know Daniel Negreanu's trying to get a team there. And so do you think that Nevada's a place that a professional sports team that would work there and would succeed, or do you think there's too many problems?
Hell yeah. I think they should bring all of the professional sports to Nevada because, I mean, I feel like it's just like the state itself. There's literally only Vegas and Reno and then a few little small towns in between. And don't get me wrong, it's like Reno's kind of like my little sister. I can talk crap about it, but the moment somebody else does, like, I don't think so. But I think Las Vegas is definitely ready for a professional team. I don't know about Reno. I'm almost 100% sure it's not ready. Even there, it's hard to get people to come out to AAA games, you know. So my thing is Vegas, I think, is definitely ready. It's a touristy town. People love to go away, you know, for the weekend and come back. Why not pop in a football game in there and all of that. I think it would be so, like, money wise, it'd be very lucrative for the state of Nevada, but at the same time, I mean, there's so many other issues when it comes to, you know, who knows if the Nevada would hate it because it's going to be taking more money away from gambling, and we're so obsessed with gambling here, it's out of control. And do
you really want that many Raider fans in one state at the same time? I mean, you have to talk about it.
You know, I mean, no.
But I was here in LA when the Raiders were in. I'm a Seahawks fan.
Oh boy.
Yeah, and I was 12 and I almost got mugged by a Raider fan. So I have a natural skepticism of them.
But I do tell you one thing: Raider fans know how to party. And I went to one Raider game 2 years ago. This was when I actually living in the Bay Area, and it was cool. I got to watch Peyton Manning play in the Bay Area twice, and that was because previously it was when Levi's opened and he played in that the preseason game against Colin and the Niners. And I remember looking over. I'm like, there's so much alcohol here, and so they're all in good spirits, like they're happy. I mean, at one point the Raiders fans were probably more athletic than the Raiders themselves, so it was just kind of like they're very passionate. That's the one word I always describe Raiders fans, and they love their team to Reese's Pieces, and I really respect them for that. But at the same time, like, I think some of it's a little bit, you know, exaggerated over the years because I mean every kind of football game's kind of out of control, don't get me wrong, but that's every sporting event period. But I mean, the whole Raider fan thing, like I accept them with open arms. It is what it is. I would love to have a team that wouldn't have to worry about, like, ooh, our fans going to show up, and with Raiders games you never have to worry about that, so that's always a plus.
That's true. Well, that kind of brings in something we were talking about before the show. Right before we did this interview, Giordano Ventura got a little macho tonight and decided to try to hit Manny Machado, I think it was, and started a bench clearing brawl. Is it just a thing of immaturity, or do you think that there's a how would you describe like the macho culture in baseball that's going on in a situation like that?
Well, Yordano Ventura kind of has a history of being a little hot-headed, if you will. And so that, like I told you, I was like, oh, I'm so surprised. Like if I didn't know about that, I was like, I'm so shocked. Like the guy was actually
if I told you a Royals pitcher threw at somebody, you would automatically guess
I'm
Ventura.
like, oh, Ventura,
probably.
how's Ventura doing? Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just, it is what it is. But I'm on a weekly show in Texas, and one of the guys asks me the question, because let's be honest, the unwritten rules of baseball are more in place than the written rules of baseball sometimes. And first of all, Manny Machado, of course, was kind of in the dark behind Bryce Harper and Mike Trout talks of, like, who do you like better, or who would you choose first in your overall your season-long fantasy, or
sure.
If these were your babies, would you rather have a Bryce Harper or Mike Trout? And it's like, well, there's Manny Machado, like, let's not forget about him. And they're young guys too, and of course, I consider young in the MLB under the age of 25, so it's one of those kind of scenarios. But it's dudes with adrenaline with bats and balls. Stuff's gonna get crazy. Get crazy. And pitchers have the most wonderfully accurate memory out of anybody. And like, look what happened with Jose Bautista. You think he got punched in the face because it was an accident? No, homeboys remember stuff. Homeboys remember things, especially pitchers, and they're also very loyal. So if you're gonna mess with somebody, I don't know like the actual scenario about what happened, but
I think he just got torched tonight and he just was taking it out on the next batter. I think
that's literally called Yordano Ventura-ing.
Yeah,
that's what that is called.
Trumbo had 4 RBIs already. He probably didn't want to hit Trumbo at that point, so he went after Machado, I guess, in that situation. I don't know all the particulars, honestly. It was more of a Twitter notification of me changing the channel for a second. So
yeah,
I don't know.
I guess keep baseball fun, guys.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just dumb. Like, but I get it. Unfortunately, I totally get it. It's like, okay, you get hit and then you get punched, and it's just kind of what it is. It's like like I said, it's guys with adrenaline with kind of weapons. Stuff's gonna get crazy. You don't really expect it. Like if you put a helmet and pads on them, that's just a football game.
Yeah,
not a big deal. But it's because it's a baseball game. It's just different. But I've noticed like it's definitely been an interesting season in regards to the outside stuff, like the stuff we're not quite used to. We don't see, bench clearing brawls every single game. We don't see the bat flip as much as, or we probably do now, but it's becoming more and more popular.
One interesting thing I've noticed, because I've been watching a lot of hockey lately, because I'm from Pittsburgh. I'm a Penguins fan, so it's on that one. And go Penguins, by the way. Just had to throw that in.
You had to shout that out. Shout that out.
Yeah, well, as much as I'm shouting, yeah. But there's less fighting going on in hockey right now than there is in baseball.
Interesting.
And not that there isn't violence. It's a violent sport, but I don't know if it's just that it's become so. I don't know what the answer is to
maybe
that. If anybody on Twitter wants to give it
maybe it's like
maybe they just hit the point. You don't see the thugs anymore in hockey as much as you used to. There's not the guy that his sole job is to fight, I guess, the whole thing like that. But it just seems like a cultural thing. But baseball, it seems like they're going through sort of a, sowing their seeds, or I don't know what the right term would be for it, but just kind of getting loose on these things now and taking it out on other people.
Maybe it is roid rage. Everybody's getting popped for roids these days. It could just be like, true. Well, just give it a few months.
D. Gordon, it's like, getting, he's 146 pounds.
The 17-year-old getting in trouble for steroids today. I'm like, what is life anymore? Like, did you think you were taking, drinking your apple juice? But nope, it's anabolic steroids. Like, you're 17. Yeah. You can't even vote yet, but you're putting substances in your damn body.
Well, there was a very important, this is before your time, but there was a very important episode of Beverly Hills 90210 where Steve Sanders dealt with steroids. It's just, viewing for everyone. I won't go
Right.
into the details, but I guess it was a thing in high school back then. But
I mean,
speaking of,
even yeah,
oh, good.
even the guys that I knew in high school, they were like, they thought they were so cool because they were taking creatine, and I'm
Yeah,
like, really? You're pumped because you're making your muscles fill with water. Good for
yeah,
you. Good for you. You're totally going to be a first rounder. You're just going to make it, and they're going to forget all about Buster Posey because you put water in your belly. Like, good for you. I just think
yeah.
people are stupid. If you're going to do steroids, be educated about it and pee it out at the right time, guys. Like, don't be dumb. Don't be stupid.
Valuable lesson right there, guys.
You're welcome. You're
Yeah, I
welcome.
know. Right there from Jessica. Speaking of television, though, that I mentioned before, important question. Because I was doing a little research. Who's the best character on Parks and Recreation, and who's the character you most relate to on the show?
Oh my gosh, this is like probably the most amazing question I've ever been asked in my life because I'm a little bit of everyone. But first of all, Adam Scott was at the W the same night that we were all returning from the Playboy Mansion.
Oh yeah. So
So
you were freaking out a little bit on that one, or were you?
I mean I acted like it was chill, but he wasn't like in the mood to talk to anybody. But that's fine. I'm definitely a little bit of Leslie Knope mixed with Donna with the side of probably Anne. You know, but then yeah, I guess it really depends. So I'm I'm probably like a little bit of all of that, and then
Who's your favorite character on the show then, out of all of them?
Probably.
See, I mean, I'm easy. It's Ron Swanson for me.
Absolutely.
It always has to be Ron.
I definitely love Ron Swanson because I actually. Okay, this is gonna blow your mind. I hope you're ready.
Yeah.
Before I started. I don't think you are. So before I worked for FanDuel and did all my sports writing, I quit my 10-year government job where I worked, wait for it, in public lands for the government.
There you go.
My boss had a mustache like Ron Swanson, and I'm not even lying. And I still call him Ron Swanson till this day when I go in and visit them. And I tell you what, it's literally all like that. And I think my favorite character just easily is Leslie Knope, just because she's a lot like me, where it's like, okay, cool, like let's keep going. All right, what's the next? And now you can't really get me to stop. So that's kind of probably my favorite. I'm definitely like,
I actually went to I went to the Paley Center, which is the big television theater here. I went to the Parks and Recreation night a few years ago, so I met the cast, but my one regret was I was going to get up and ask a question, and I was just going to go hello cast and then go hello Retta, like that, you know. But I didn't do it, just to kind of throw the room off a little. But I didn't get up. Or they didn't hand the mic to me. I can't remember which one it was. But so you have a fellow. I've been trying to tell people you have to watch Parks and Rec. They're all afraid because they see the first few episodes and the show still wasn't.
Yeah, it took a while, but I promise. And then you end up wanting to download the Bye Bye Little Sebastian song to your cell phone as your ringtone.
Well, see, there you go. It's like two people here right now saying your next Netflix show, Parks and Rec.
And you'll rewatch it too. Like I've rewatched it 3 different times, and I have no regrets about it.
There you go. So. All right. Well, I think we did good here. I think we're right around the time that we normally end these things. So
perfect.
And I never know how to end these things, so I'm just going to end it. That's just the easiest way. It was a pleasure having you on the show. Follow Jessica on FanDuel. She's there. She's writing articles practically every day. I think it's like you about 4 or 5 days a week, or
5 days a week, and then if I have a freelance stuff, it'll be more than that. So
I mean, dear God, it's like they tried to get me to do 2 days a week, and I was run out of gas at this job.
But luckily there's Adderall and coffee for that.
So maybe I should start trying that stuff.
I don't think great advice today, aren't I?
I know you were rolling.
I'm just doing
do steroids, do Adderall, and everything's there for you. Yeah,
but stay in school, kids. But stay in school.
Please do. Do. America. There we go. And on that note, thanks everybody. I think my guest next week's Nicole. We're keeping it. We're just going females 3 weeks in a row. Nicole Valencia for Roto Grinders next week, and we'll see after that. But thanks everybody for tuning in, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Take care.